Hello, guys. Hello. Um, all right, I think we're going to start our webinar. Thank you very much for coming. I'm really excited about our session. And today we're going to have a webinar powered by QA Turbo School. And before we start, I would like to make sure that you can hear me, you can see me clearly. And I'm asking you to type 1 if you can see me and can hear me well, and type 2 if you cannot see me and cannot hear me. All right. Yes, great. Tatiana, Rash, Anara, Christina. Thank you very much, guys. Okay. Woohoo! I'm happy you can see me, you can hear me, and we're gonna start. Okay. Today we are discussing Serenity Test Reports. Okay. Let me share my screen. Today we're going to discuss Serenity Test Reports, and before I introduce our special guest, I'm going to tell you that we're going to discuss Automated Reports overview, and also during this session we will have an opportunity to learn and to see how to build first Serenity BDD framework and its report. Okay. Yes, just remembered, I would like to ask you, please unmute your microphone and turn off your videos, okay? So it's gonna be easy for us. And if you have any questions, please feel free to type them, to text them. And then at the end of webinar or during the webinar, we will answer all of them. All right, and I have a special bonus for all of you. So all participants who stay until the end of this webinar will get a special bonus from QA Turbo School. I personally think this is a great, useful thing. So stay with us, be active, ask questions, and I hope you're really gonna love this webinar. And here you go. Ta-da! Our special guest, Dmytro Sylyvonchyk. Yay! All right, so Dmytro has over 10 years of experience in IT, and he's a test lead at Airgas. Also, he has Harvard and ISTQB certification. So this guy is really experienced, and he has a lot to share with you. Let me unmute him. Dima.
Hi guys, can you hear me? Type 1 if you can.
Let me see. Okay, so we have 8 answers. Yes, Dima. I think everyone can hear you and see you.
That's good.
I also see you.
All right, hi guys. I'm glad to see you all today, and we'll start with some introduction, I guess, and then move on.
Yes, thank you very much for coming. I'm so, happy to see you and, to learn from you. It's such a great pleasure for us. And, of course, everyone wants to know more about you. Could you tell us, please, more about yourself, about your life, work experience, about your life, about automation, everything?
Sure. As you already mentioned, currently I'm a test lead at Airgas. My overall experience is somewhat about, I guess, maybe in 11 years by now. There's definitely over 10.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I have started as a front-end developer. I was creating some basic websites, but over the time, I found myself in the testing, and by now, it's already 7 years of my QA experience, and last 3 years, I am really tied to the automation.
Sounds impressive. Okay, so why you love so much automation? What is your favorite part?
Well, there are a lot. To start with, I would say that first of all, I love coding. I like when something that I am doing is working. And yeah, that's really good to see.
Yeah, so I just want to know if automation is only about coding. So does it sound like you're gonna stay all day working, writing the code and no having fun?
No, that's not really true. The other thing I love about automation is that you can just say, like, have some instructions that will be performed without anyone doing it manually. So most of the things that you have to repeatedly do again and again over time, just constantly, that sounds boring, even just saying that. And automation really helps to take out that pressure and that routine from the work and just enjoy doing something more fun, explore something new.
All right, I see. Thanks. And my last question is gonna be, what are your favorite stack for automated tests?
Well, over recent couple of years, it is pretty much the same. I work with Java, with Maven. I use Serenity BDD that we are going to talk about today. For my assertions, I use nice, really good library AssertG that I will touch on a little today too. JUnit, and for my CI, that's obviously Jenkins. I think that's the best tool to use.
Thank you very much. All right, guys, I think that I'm gonna leave Dmytro in charge. So I'm gonna leave session right now. Dmytro, you are in charge. Also, if you have questions, please write them and we will answer later. Yeah, I think that is all. So I'm stop sharing my screen, Dmytro, and you are in charge.
Yeah,
I
I will
wish you good
start
luck.
sharing.
Yay!
Yeah, thank you. Just a moment, let me start sharing my own screen. Okay. All right, guys, just to verify, please type 2 if you can see my presentation on your screen. Okay, I see 2s, so we can start. Thank you, thank you. All right, so automated testing reports. This is the topic for us for today. And mainly we will focus on the reporting feature of the Serenity because Serenity is quite a huge tool, but today we will stick to the reporting feature. First, let's start with the definition of the report, what the report itself is. And this is a nice elaborative definition that I've taken from Merriam-Webster Dictionary. And what we are particularly interested in is this: a usually formal record of the proceeding of a meeting or session. So in our case, this will not be a meeting, actually, it will be a session of test execution. So to stick it more to the topic of today's lesson, I came up with the following definition so that under the report for today, we will understand that it is an organized information about results of an automated testing framework run. So this is what we will work with today. So why at first place do we need reports? Any ideas, guys? If you have any thoughts, why do we actually need it? Please type them in chat. Let's see what ideas we have. To track, okay, capture results, that's good. Any more ideas? Share results, that's a really good point. All right, so basically, yeah, communicate with others. Yeah, thank you. Those are good points. And here are some more. So let's start with the first one, is to assess the project test coverage. So first, we are going to see how many features and what, say, percentage was covered, how deep was our testing, how elaborative was it, what did we verify, and all this will help us to understand how good our test coverage is. The second point is, as it was mentioned, defects tracking and other statistical data that we can use for whatever numbers we are going to evaluate, and again, to understand the stage of the project, right? That's what we want to see. Third is exact measures, so that we can actually count how many tests were executed, how many of them passed, how many of them failed. If they failed, how bad it was, how many steps could we go forward, where did it fail, so we can see all of those steps. And on top of that, we can see how long did it take, and some other numbers, and top management loves numbers, because that's what shows the actual progress. The next bullet is history and trends, so that we can build trends, we can see the way our project is changing, how our success or maybe failure goes, which happens sometimes. But mostly, yeah, we can track back the history and see how the state of our project was changing over the time. Next point is shareable documentation that was mentioned in the chat. And that is actually a good point, because again, management really loves to see something. And when you try to see a code or partially working application, that is not quite what they really want to see. And especially if you have some stakeholders that may be quite far away from understanding the technical information, this documentation will help us a lot. People do love to see some easy, understandable information, and that's what report should be. And the last point that I have for here is demonstration materials. So again, we can take a part in meeting. We can talk to our direct clients that may be far away from technical side again. Or it is just acceptance meeting, or we've got millions of different situations where we can demonstrate something, and we've got to demonstrate something, and our report is, well, top one you're gonna use as the material for it. When I came up to the point when I needed some automated reports for my automated tests, I had some certain expectation on my side. Let me show them to you. So first of all, what I needed, that was tracking the result and see trends by features. So I wanted to see how each separate feature was developing, and to trace back if I have any bugs, to see how long are they living, how much time did it take to fix them, and other history data. Apart from that, I needed really nice, clear UI, because in my company, I have to talk to a lot of non-technical people, or they may be technical, but in some other type of engineering. They can be mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and so they may be quite far away from technical data of web development and application building. And the last what I needed is to record execution time and see the screenshots. So I needed to understand how long did it take, and if something went wrong, what exactly and at what point of time. And so here we come up to the Serenity BDD. Me personally, I found this project, Serenity, as just the best tool to use, especially if you're using Java. We will see it in just a few minutes, but let's start with what Serenity is actually. And first of all, it was developed by a guy named John Ferguson. It is pretty experienced guy. He is really good at TDD, which is TDD and BDD, both of them. again, behavior and test-driven development. And well, BDD, that's what Serenity is, and you will see that it implements a lot of BDD inside of it, just out of box. It is an open source library, so again, you don't have to pay for anything, and it helps you to write really good acceptance tests, end-to-end tests, functional or UI tests. And again, just in a few minutes, I will show you everything. It produces illustrated and narrative reports. And the last point, it allows you to map your automated tests back to the requirements. It has really nice implementation of Jira API. And so if in your project you are using Jira, that will really help you a lot. We are not going to focus on that today, but if you like, I will leave all the links so you could see that. Okay. Please provide real life examples. We will see all that. We will get to it in just a few moments. Let me just finish up a little bit what Serenity is, and we will start building our framework, so you're gonna see all of that. So yeah, let's move on. So what the Serenity is from the development standpoint. I'm not going to go too deep into all the details, how it was developed and how it was created. Basically, what it is a wrap around the Selenium. I think a lot of you guys are using Selenium right now. Let's check, by the way. If you do use it, please type 5 in the chat, just to see how many of us are using Selenium. Quite a lot. Well, because Selenium is probably the most popular library to use, and so no surprise on that. And not to give you too extra details about what the wrap around Selenium means, there's probably something like that, just to have some basic idea. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that if you do know Selenium, if you used it over the time, it'll be really easy for you to switch to using Serenity. It has just some minor differences that will help you a lot in building your own framework. So that will make it much, much easier. All right. So just briefly, I'm going to touch up again on the BDD, which is behavior-driven development. So here is the way narrative created. Those are requirements. And here is a narrative for the tests. Again, it's pretty common that people use frameworks like Cucumber or JBehave. So if you do, that'll be really easy for you again to implement in the Serenity. Do we have any guys that are using Gherkin language in their project and the Cucumber? Please type 1 if you do use it in your project. Okay, I see some people do use it, which is great, and it is quite common to use it. Me personally, I'm not a really big fan of that. I used it on a couple of the projects, but my recent project, we didn't implement it. And I'm not going to get into all this for today, just to keep it more simple. We've got a lot of material for today, and I don't want it to overload you for just today's lesson. We're again going to stick for the reports. And so one last thing before we move to the report itself is I want to mention how many technologies are actually used out of box in Serenity. How easy is it to implement them? So just to mention some, we have, again, Jira, JBehave, and Cucumber that we discussed, Appium, SOSLab, JUnit, and a lot more. I will leave a link just a bit later about the Serenity and what other projects it supports. There are a lot of them, and all of them are popular, as we saw some guys using Cucumber and JBehave, a lot of you guys are using Selenium. I'm pretty sure that some of you are using Jira on your projects. So it'll be really easy for you to combine it all together and have just one point instead of, you know, a lot of different libraries. So the report. Let's see what the report is. So this is actually a real screenshot of my projects. I executed it, I guess, a couple of months ago. It was one of the features I needed to verify. And so this is what you basically see. First of all, we can understand how simple and intuitive it is. You can see the results, you can see how long did it take, and other details. So let's have a deep look on that. On the top, we have a total amount of test scenarios that were executed. Right next to it, we have a button that allows us to export all the data so that you can save it in CSV format. I know that some people do like to use it for some extra whatever numbers to build some graphical data, some trends. Again, you can do it. It's pretty easy just to export in CSV. Just below there, we have tabs that you can switch between overall summary and step-by-step results of each scenario. We'll get into it just when we build our own test for today. Below that, we can obviously see the nice graphic and some exact numbers. Remember, countable measures just to see the exact numbers. So we had 73 passing tests out of 76, which is 96%. Again, it's pretty easy. When I remember the first time I was showing this report to one of my managers, they were so satisfied with it because it was so clear for them to see what the actual result is. There may be just thousands of details you would like to share with developers, but non-technical people will prefer to have just overall high-level view. But in the report, you can go into details. We will see that just a bit later. So right below, we have our timing, and we see how long did it take. It took 19 minutes. How fast it was, what was the average time on that, and you can see all the details. Like you can understand how long was it. If it took, instead of 20 minutes expected, it would take like 40 minutes, 1 hour. You can see that there is probably something bad goes on the back end, for example, or there may be some misconfiguration on servers. Whatever, you know, if it takes too much, that's a sign that something is going wrong. And on the very bottom, we can see what were the failure reasons, say assertion error when something went wrong. It may be no such element, or it can be something else. Okay, here's the question. Did you bind your test reports to backtracking? So yes, you can do it. Especially for Jira, it's really easy and there is no problem to do it. It may create just automated bug reports. Pretty neat. We will not do it today just because it will take some time. But if you like, yes, this is out of box possible to do. All right. And so let's probably start working on our own tests. So before we move on, I would like to ask you guys if you can see my IntelliJ idea right now. Please type 2 if you can see my ID right here. Okay, perfect. You can see that. Perfect. So again, I'm going to use Maven, which is why I'm going to start on my POM file. I will just briefly show you all the details. And before we move on, I want to mention that I do not expect anybody to follow me. I have everything set up, and so I will move quickly just because I want to focus on the reports today. All the details about creating locators and methods and I guess, well, some basics, I expect you to either understand it or in case you want to follow, we are going to have a record of this session. So later on, you can just return to it and try to follow me on your own path. So again, I do not expect anyone to go along with me. I just want to show you the way it works. I'm not going to show all the details of every step I'm doing. All right, once this is clear, let's see what the requirements we have. So let's open the browser and say our customer is nice website bestbuy.com. It is nationwide website where you can buy a lot of electronics, and let's pretend they are our customers, or say we work for them, whatever you like the most. So we will work on just few scenarios. Again, I'll keep it simple. We will not get a lot of real life. We'll keep it simple just to see the way it works. All right. So I hope it is clear for everybody. So first of all, we'll start with our search form, which you can see right here. So we say we have a requirement that we have to verify that search form is presented on our main page. And once we get inside of the search, say we will look for the monitor or whatever, right here, you can see this nice drop down. We need to verify that all of these options are correct. They are the same as we have them in requirements. Is it clear so far what we are planning to do? Please type 3 if it is clear. All right. Okay, thank you. Thank you, guys. All right, so let's get back to our IDE. I will have just brief overview of my POM XML. So in here we have the Serenity core library that we need to include, definitely because we are going to use Serenity. But we do not need to use Selenium because again, Serenity that includes Selenium inside of it and adds some more on the top. We also need Serenity JUnit since we are using JUnit. Me personally, I like JUnit for debugging. You may use it for different purposes. That's the way I'm using. The next import I have is assertg. That is the library I use for assertions. You will see them, they are really nice. If you didn't use it, it is really, really close to what JUnit is. And if you use, say, testing G with the JUnit or just plain JUnit, it'll be easier for you to understand what it is. So again, this is assertg, JUnit. We need Maven Surefire plugin. That's the plugin that helps us to build our reports. And we need to make friends between Serenity and Maven so that they would work together. And the last property I have, which you can set in a lot of different ways, but I have it in here, we are setting the browser width and height, just to have it set up, not to stand on that every time we need it. Okay, so if it is clear so far, please type 8 in the chat and we can move on. Perfect, perfect. I see everyone is following me here, which is great. And so here, let's start working with creating our framework. So first we need to go obviously to our src folder, main folder, Java, and let's create the first package we are going to use and call it pages. And create our first class in here, which will be our main page. That's where we are going to start. Remember, we will need to verify that on the main page, we have this nice search form. So that's where we are going to start. All right, so the first thing you do over here, you need to add some parental class. This class is provided by the Serenity itself, and it is fairly simple, called page object. So we are going to use page object model. I think a lot of you guys should know about page object model. Let's see if you know. Let's type 5 in the chat. All right, perfect. So basically what it means, we have some base class where we have most of our basic methods and some locators. Again, I'm not going to go too deep inside of method creation. I'll keep it simple for today, but I will have my separate class for my locators because that is the place where I will store all of them for purpose of today's class. All right, so let's see the locators. So we again need to extend our page object class over here. Extends. So we just imported it from Serenity BDD. That's what we are using. And in here, it is fairly simple again. I will just copy. I will not look for locators because I already have them preset. So I will explain to you. So we create by element, give it some variable name. I prefer it to say the page where it exists and what it actually is. So we have our search field on our main page, and we will find it by ID. Again, if you are using Selenium, there is nothing new for you. That is the same way as you do it in Selenium. And the same we have here, search button, that we are looking by XPath. And we will have our search results page. And we will have our drop down, and for other reasons later we will need headers. I'll explain in just few minutes. All right, so let's get back to our main page and let's start creating our first method. This will be again simple and same way as you would do it using any other Java library. So we create a public class, and since we will verify that field exists, it will be Boolean class, and we will call it search form visibility, that we can see that. All right, so curly braces, and we go inside. So we need to return some certain field that exists on the page. So here is a minor difference for the Serenity compared to Selenium, because instead of writing driver.findElement, which is quite long, we don't actually have an instance of the driver right here, because Serenity manages all this instead of us. We don't need to take care of that. So instead, we just got to type find. And here we have this method, find, and inside we need to send by selector. So by selector, that's like basically some locator that Serenity will need to find on the page. So in here, we need to pass our locators, and we will start with the search field. So to do it, I will create an instance of our locators class in here and call it locators. Again, keep it simple. And we call locators dot, and we need to find our search field. That's what we will look for on the page. And here is pretty simple, dot is displayed. This is the same method as you have in Selenium. Nothing surprising, everything is the same, very much the same. And we also will need to find our search button. Here is search button. And again, we've got to see that it is displayed. So here is our first method that we will use. And apart from that, I will also create a method we will use in our second test. Remember, we will need to search for something on the site. So in order to do it, we'll create public void this time, and we will search for and have some string query that we will pass into this method. So inside, it'll again fairly simple. We need to find our search field, and we need to send keys. Again, it is the same method you use for Selenium, and we will pass our query onto this field. And below that, we will need to click on the button. So it will be search button, and we will need to click on that. Perfect. So here we have our first two steps, two methods that we will start with. And here is something that again will differ just a little from the Selenium. So basically, when you use plain Selenium, you'll just go to your tests and create your tests. For Serenity, it works just a little different. So in here, under your SRC main Java, we will create one more package, and we'll call it steps. So this package is going to contain all the steps we will use for our tests. I will show it in just a moment. So in here, again, we will create our Java class. We will call it main page steps. Easy to understand. And when we create it, we do not need to extend our page object model. Since we already have extended it here and our methods are created here, we do not need it anymore. Our locators are here. We do not need to use them right here. Okay, just to add one more nice and neat touch. Right here, just above the class definition, we will add annotation. This one is again provided by Serenity. Oh, sorry. Default URL, what we need. So basically, our main page is static. It has the static address, so we are not going to have any different variables in this URL. So we can simply provide the address for our main page, which is in our case bestbuy.com. We just paste it here. And the reason why we are doing it, first of all, it is easy to manage in here instead of looking for millions of instances where you used it. Each feature may have this basic static URL, and so that's what you may use for your class. And in here, when we move on to our steps, let's create our first step. So to do that, we will add annotation step to let know that this is a step. And under it, we will create our first step, which basically will be opening the page. I guess that's where each test is starting. And so in our case, there is no difference. We need first to open our page. So this is going to be our void method that we will call open main page. And inside of that, we need to call the page. And so again, instead of using all this driver, get, whatever, and well, you know, passing some variables, whatever, that's too complicated, Serenity had thought about that and made it really easy. So we create an instance of our main page and call it simply page. And in here, we just call our instance dot open. Here, this method that will take our default URL and we'll say driver get URL, whatever it is, right from here. So again, this will be managed by the Serenity, which makes it much easier for us. And we need to create one more step for our first test that we will create. This time we will verify that search form is displayed. So again, we will have our assertion right here. And you will see how our tests will look nice, neat, and easy to understand. So from here, I will use assert G that I explained to you earlier. So what we need is to write assertions dot assert that. So here we have it. Fairly simple, very similar to what you have in JUnit. And I guess it'll be easy to understand what is going on here. So we call our Boolean method from the page, which is, here it is, search form visibility. And since it is Boolean, we should verify that it is true so that all the elements are displayed on the page. Before we move on, are there any questions? Is everything clear so far, guys? Please type 2 if everything is clear for you so far. Okay, I see people are following, which is great. And so on this moment, thank you. We will move on to our test class. Right on here, again, we will need to create our main page test class under our test folder. And we start here with something that may some people be familiar with. We need to let our IDE know what to use when you run test. So in our case, this is run with, this is the JUnit annotation. And we are letting know that we will use our Serenity runner. So we are using Serenity, again, fairly simple. We simply add it to our test class. Inside, we are going to say what browser we are going to use. For this, I will just copy this annotation. Let me explain to you. So this is managed annotation, and we are passing the value for the driver we would like to use. So in our case, we will use Chrome. Again, instead, you may use Firefox, Internet Explorer, whatever. It will support anything. You just have to provide the driver itself. And we create an instance of a driver right here, not on our page, not on here, like you would do in plain Selenium. You will do it in the test class. And underneath, again, this step may be avoided if you will have your properties set in a separate file. I will keep it here so that we would see it. Again, before annotation is known from the JUnit, fairly simple. This is something that is got to be executed before any of the test class, test method will run. And so in here, we will provide our Chrome driver in our case, and here is the path to the Chrome driver on my personal laptop. Again, I will share this project with you in the end of the class. So once you will download it, right here, you will need to provide your own address for the driver, just so you know. And here, this is very similar and the same as you use in Selenium, just some implicitly wait in case some of the method may take some time to load. Okay, I see the question here. Do we have to list them one by one, or we can list them all in one line? Not quite sure what are you mentioning right now. Please specify and I'll answer for you just in a moment. And while Alex is typing, we'll start creating our first test. Again, it is fairly simple. Our JUnit annotation for test. Underneath, we go for public void and the name of the test method, search form visibility, we will call it. Again, you may have whatever naming convention you have on your project. I keep it simple for here. On my own project, it would be different. But for here, we keep it just easy and simple for everyone to understand it. And let's get to the test itself. We, first of all, got to create something that is called instance of steps. So for that, we've got to call our steps annotation. And here we will create an instance of our main page steps class. So we could use these steps that we have created before. So we write again main page steps, we import it, and we will call it steps. Again, just to keep it simple for now. And from here, we just call steps dot, and we need to open the main page as the first step. Fairly simple again. And that's what we are going to do first. And second, we have our method right here, verify search form displayed. This is where the assertion is happening, where we will verify that search form is visible, is true, that both of the elements we have so far are displayed on the page, right here. That's it. Again, this makes it a lot easier to create your tests. Well, yeah, I have a fairly simple example right here, but on my experience, what I'm using, we were starting with the Selenium, like clear Selenium, and then we moved to Serenity, and our test became so much better. Trust me, it saves you a lot of time, and debugging process is much, much easier when your tests look like that. Okay, just a moment. Here's the question. If I would like to test different browsers simultaneously, can I create one task for... Okay, I see what you're talking about. Here's the point. First of all, For cross-browsing, you may use SauceLab, which is again has support out of box. And there is one more library for cross-browsing that Serenity supports too. So if you would like to use it, again, in the end, I will share some useful links and you'll find all the information about that. As for here, you cannot just link them one by one, but you can create a couple instances and call them. So that will work too. But again, SauceLab is what most of people use for cross browsing. So I guess that's the point to go. All right. In any case, let's move on. And right here, if you are using JUnit, you are going to know that you can run and debug tests from here, which is super great for debugging. And that is the reason why I keep my JUnit right here, well, apart from the annotations, of course, is because I can run separate tests from here. And let's see if we will have success on that. Okay, so build it. Here, our Chrome driver. Here is our main page. Okay, and what result we have? We have it successful. Perfect, awesome. That is great, that is cool, but you may ask where the report is. And here's the trick. So when when you use JUnit for your execution, that is mostly for debugging. You don't want to overcomplicate and have just tons of the reports saved or overwrite them so each time you execute something. That is especially bad when you need to run just one, say, or two tests, but you have the report for like few hundred of scenarios executed, and then you just override it and you screwed. You know, it's not really good. I guess we all agree this is not the best, you know, situation to have. So in here, if you're using Maven, you will be familiar with this. By the way, let's see in chat who uses Maven. Let's type 4 if you use Maven. Muhammad is using. Denise, Alex, Christina. Awesome, guys. Great. So I guess Maven is the place to go in modern Java. I'm pretty sure that this is the best way to build it, but again, everyone has its own opinion. We are here just to use it for our clean verify. So again, just for now, we can just have simple verify, but just to make it nice, not to have any external data involved or whatever, better to have clean verify. And we've got to build our test. So here we have our tests are running. All right, here's our test is starting. It is running. All right, this one is all set. Let's see what we have over here. Build success, which is good. And so here we have started our tests, right? From here. And we have our build success over here. And here is the line that says that we have our report generating test results for, well, one test. That's what we have so far. We will have some more in just a few minutes. So let's get to our folder of the project. So my project is called Serenity Lesson. And this is where your project by default is stored. Again, you can change it. There is a way to change it if you like to save it somewhere else. I will keep it default for now because well, that's the easiest way to show everything. So under here we have our site folder, and Serenity folder. So right here, we have all the results of our execution. Not that much as of now, that is true, but we have only one test. When we will have more tests, it will have a lot more data right here. Trust me, I know. So we are looking for the index.html file. That is our report right here. Let me open it so you can guys see it. All right, I hope you can see that. Please type 1 if you can see my report. Perfect. All right. So again, you already saw something like this in my presentation. And we have just one test scenario that was executed. It passed, so 100% of success. Great. And it took about 14 seconds. And well, obviously that's the average result too, because it was just one. We had just one story over here, which is main page test, which is the name of our class right here. And here is the tab of test results. So right here, we see the feature that was executed. You will have a lot of features, probably like I have on my project. Here we will have just one. Again, this is just for learning purposes. We have the time when it started. So I'm on East Coast, so that's 9 p.m. on my side. It took 14 seconds and it was rather successful. It had 2 steps in it, and right here we can check the steps. They all were success. Perfect. We are awesome guys. That is great start. Anyway, great start is good, but we've got to move on. And as you remember, we had one more task in our requirements. We had to look for something right here. And we have to verify that our dropdown will have correct options. So here they are. In order to do that, I'll have to do some slight tweak, because when you type, it takes some time to load the result. This helped fall down suggestions. So to prevent any problems that may be caused by that, again, by experience, I know it may cause, I will add this nice method that I have for, I call it sleep, which is basically an explicit wait. So we'll just pass some time, and we will call it right here in our search for method, because we need our query to pass completely. And just 1 second, that'll be enough. Just 1 second, it will load everything. Again, fairly simple. Is it clear, guys, what I've just done? Any explanations needed in here? Please let me know in the chat. Okay, I don't see any questions, so it seemed to be easy for everyone, which is great. Awesome, guys. You're doing good. Really, that's great. You are following me up on here. So again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate. Ask as much as I can. I will answer them on the fly. So what I am doing right here. Oh, okay, here's the question. Currently, I'm using extent report. Compared to that, this is very easy and better option. Will this work with Studio and C#? That is a good question. I do know that Serenity has support for JavaScript. I am not particularly sure about C#. You can Google for that, because again, I'm using it for Java. I didn't use it for C#. but you can look for the information on that, and I guess they may have the support for the C# too. Okay, let's move on. So we will create one more class in our pages package. This time we will create search results page. This will be the page where our results are displayed. We could keep it under the main page if you'd like to, but again, when you try to expand your project, this will be complicated, and so better to have different pages, different features on separate classes. It just makes it much easier to understand where the things are happening. And right here, this is the very much same as we had for our main page. We need to add our extension, our parental class right here. But the difference we have here is that if you will search for, again, monitor, yeah, we were looking for the monitor. Here is the URL you have, right? A lot of variables set in whatever order, so that is too complex, and that is dynamic address, so our default URL is not going to help us. Though, on the other hand, we will start on the main page at any case. So our test will start on the main page, so we will open the main page and only then move to the methods from right here. And here is our search results. So we've got to verify that our options are correct. And so to do that, we need to first gather all of the options we have in our drop-down, right here. So we already have our locator set up in place right here. And we will create, I'll just type here, our locators instance. And we'll create our method to take all the options from the page. So it will return the list of web elements. This is again Selenium. You guys know that if you use Selenium. We will call it sorting options. And we will use select here Selenium method. We'll call it sorting options. Again, easy. We'll create new instance of the select, and we will pass our locator inside. Find locators dot and our sorting dropdown. So we need to gather all of the sorting options from this select dropdown. Fairly simple so far. And we need to return them all. So it will be sorting options, which is our list over here. And we need to, here's the method we will use, get options. So we will get all the options. And we need to verify it against something, right? Just to understand that it is correct. So I will just copy it in here, say we have some certain requirements that this dropdown is expected to have these elements right here. But here's the thing. Our select will return web elements, a list of web elements. And here we have a list of strings, right? That is a string. So we will need to compare them one against each other despite their different data types. I will show you in just a moment how to do that. And by now, I should ask, is everything clear what I'm doing so far? Please type yes if you are following me on this. Perfect, perfect, great. Thank you guys. I love you so much. You're a great audience. So let's move on. And we are following the same route we did for our main page. In our steps package, we create another class for our search results steps right here. Again, here we had it for our main page steps. Right here we have for our search results steps. We do the same thing. We create an instance because we will need to call methods. Just this time we will call our search result page. We need page here. Here it is. We add it, and again we will call it just the page, just again to keep it simple, just the same way as we had here. Unlike we had it here, we will not use page open method again because we do not have our default URL right here. There's nothing. So we will just create a step that will verify our options. So under here, we create public void because it does not return anything. And we will call it verify sorting options. So here's basically our step. And under here, first, again, as you remember, we've got to gather all of the actual elements we have on the page and compare them against requirements we have. So for this, we create an instance of list web elements will be stored inside element. We will call it actual because that's what will be taken from the page. And we will need to call our method that returns all of the sorting options. Here we have this, it returns web element sorting options. So again, if you remember, I mentioned that we have web element list and list of strings. And so maybe some of you know how to do that, maybe some don't. Again, I'm pretty sure if you do know, if you don't, well, it's pretty easy. You create a loop that will iterate through all of the elements of our, in this case, actual list. We'll go for the entire size of that. We will iterate through each step. And so here we will have our assertion. So again, assertions dot assert that. We will take our actual list, actual. We take I element from here, so get I. And since we need a text, not a web element, there is a method for that, get, here it is, text. So we will get a text of web element. So our select method that is provided by Selenium does allow us to do it. And we've got to make sure that it is equal to our expected result, which is a list of strings that we have on our page right here, certain options expected. No. Here, expected. And again, we need to get I element of that. That's it, fairly simple. Again, I'm doing it the most obvious way. You may have some nicer options to do it. no problem on that. My point is just to show you the way it works. That's it. I'm sorry. And now we move on to our test right here, and we'll just create one more test. Again, easy to understand. So we create public void, and this test, what it basically does, it creates, it will search for something, right? It will search and then verify our drop-down options. So let's call it search results sorting options. Again, I keep it simple from here. You have any naming convention you'd like to. It's just for our training purpose right here. So what steps we will go through? We definitely started the same way as we started our previous test. We open our main page. Here's the step we use. But then we will need to use our steps, but of a different steps class. So we used our main page steps, but this time we need to use our search results step. Again, no problem on that. We just add another steps annotation right here. We create an instance of our search results steps, and we will call it what, I don't know, search steps, if you'd like to. It will do. So again, this is just a name of a variable. You can call it whatever way you'd like to. But here is search steps, and we will need to call our method to verify our drop-down list. Here is the method we have created right here in our step for assertions. And in between, we've got to search for something. And so here we will use our main page steps. We need to add one more step right here that we had in our page. This one, search for. Because, well, again, we need to search for something. So I will do it quickly from here. So again, this is step public void. We will call it search for. It will take a string query inside of it. And inside we will call page search for, and our variable will be passed right in here. That's it. Again, it's simply a void method that will just do the same as you do from right here. This is basically just a call of that. And we will use this method in our test. So right here we will have our steps that search for, and what we were looking for here, monitor. Let's go for the monitor. Monitor. Perfect. So again, fairly simple, straightforward, really nice to see how test looks like, really easy to read, even for a non-technical person, right? So step, open main page, step, search for monitor, and then on the search steps, you've got to verify searching option. Yep, again, fairly simple. So I guess we can trigger our verify. Again, this is clean verify, so that we do not have any problems with that. And this time we'll have two tests. So let's see the way they will run. Okay, here's our second test is running. All right, so let's see what we have. Build success, and we have generating test results for 2 tests. So again, we've got success on that. Perfect. Let's update. Again, this is the same path inside of our folder. If you like to see it again, this is target, site, Serenity, and under here, we are looking for index.html file. Here it is. And what we can see here, one of our tests was unsuccessful, which is interesting. So you can see that it is not failed. So it is not the assertion problem, it is broken. So something was wrong in the execution. Element click intercepted exception. All right, here's the failure issue. This is what caused the broken test. Again, we can see that it took 26 seconds to run our 2 scenarios. And here, let's take a look at the unsuccessful test. So this one was successful. You can see it here. Nice. This one was error. It was broken. Let's take a look inside what went wrong. So element click intercepted exception. That is a problem, right? That happens, I guess. At least some of you, maybe all of you guys have seen this problem before. Anything may go wrong, anything in size, maybe windows, maybe forms, anything may intercept the click, and so obviously driver will not be happy about that. But here's the thing. If we wouldn't have Serenity, we wouldn't probably be able to see what went wrong. Say in extent report that was mentioned in chat, you do not see the screenshot of each step. But in here, in our Serenity, we see that our second step, our second step failed. The third step was skipped, which we had to verify certain options. So we didn't even come there. And yeah, as Parthiv mentioned, we had our pop-up here. Well, that's actually model window right here. So we just were not able to click on our search button. So we have our query passed successfully, but we were unable to click right here, which is definitely a problem. And so to avoid this, we've just got to close this window. That's it, right? Fairly simple. Again, we now know what was the problem, what caused it. And I'm not going to spend time on searching all that. I already have the locator that we will use. I will simply pass it right here. So main page, close button. Again, I will call it just straightforward way. Definitely your naming convention will be more elaborated. And under our main page, I am going to add this method that will close that sign up window. So it was asking us to sign up for something, right? Enter your email, sign up, right? So this window had to be closed before we on. And it appears in like few seconds. So I didn't write here some more explicit way. We could have waited for element to be presented. Again, you will have definitely much better execution of that. I keep it simple just to show the way it goes. But here is the thing. As you can see in our report right here, we had all our steps. If we will get back to our step-by-step. So we had all of the 3 steps we had mentioned. I'm sorry. We had mentioned. So open main page, search for monitor, and verify sorting options, right? These are the 3 steps that we had in our class right over here, 1, 2, and 3. But do we really want to keep this step with closing sign up window in our report? Let's pretend we don't. Say it doesn't happen too often. it may happen, you may have some exception that will catch this issue whenever it happens. If you may have some cookie that will have it already logged in, or you may have different scenario, whatever. And let's say we don't want to see that method, this one, to be called. So we just want to hide it in our report and pretend that we don't care about that. And we actually don't. We just want it to work. So right here, I'm going to create our main page instance of our main page, right? Where we store all of our methods right here, not the steps, because here are our steps. I will call it directly from right here. So main page will be the variable name, or we can actually keep it just page, just to make it easier. Again, just to understand the way it goes. And I guess right here, we will call this method to close sign up window. So here's our first step. Right here in this test, we have 4 steps, but in our report, we will not have this one. So let's make sure that it does work this way, and let's make sure that it will fix the problem. So I will just launch another execution, and we will see how it goes. Okay, here's our second test is running. All right, perfect. So let's see what we have right here. Again, we have our 2 results, our build success, and we can simply, again, get right here and open it again. This time, hooray, it is all working. So let's get a little more into the steps right here. So we were successful at opening main page. We searched for the monitor, and we verified that certain options are correct. Well, it doesn't say right here, right? But, well, it is correct. Great. So it is working. We fixed it. Nice job, guys. All right. Let's see if everyone is still following me. Please type 1 if everything is clear so far. Perfect, perfect. Thank you, guys. All right, I see everyone is following on that, which is great. And one more thing before we move on, I want to show you. Right here, as you saw, right, verify certain options is actually a step, but it's not that elaborative. And if we will see right here to the name of the test, search result, certain options, it may be quite ambiguous. And sometimes having extra long names cannot be a really nice way. And Serenity had thought of that. Again, it is continuing of JUnit. What we can do right here, we can name our tests. Say we have some plugin where we store all of our manual test cases that are set for automation. Just for example, say we have some certain naming convention, and we can just copy it and use it right here. All we basically need to do is just to add brackets, double quotes, and pass in the name of the test. Say, for example, we have some test ID right here. Again, just an example. So TS T and yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't pass it to the right annotation. We've got to add title annotation. I'm sorry about that. This is title annotation, and again, this is the same brackets, double quotes, and we pass our name right in here. This is some extra. All right, so here is the name of our one test. Say it has 12th ID, and it is called search form is presented on main page, which differs from search form visibility that we have right here, right? Visibility is quite not that nice word, but it may be used just to name your class, right? It'll be easier for you as the one who developed this test to see and to understand. But you can add some nice name right here. And for, say, our next test, it is 19th. And it is called verify search results page has correct sorting options. Well, would create a name like this for the method, it'll be quite a long one, and all these upper and lower case, some underscores may be quite problematic, and especially adding some special characters like dashes can be problematic too. So to avoid that, this is really nice annotation that is again provided, I guess it's by Serenity itself. Sites, yes. So Sites, that's the company that produces, that owns the Serenity. So yes, this is the annotation from library of Serenity. We can do the same for our steps, which will make our steps right here inside again more interesting. So we can verify sorting options, yeah, but we can name it a little different way. So let's open our main page steps. And from here, we can, again, just open our brackets right here. Let's name all of them, all right. We will call it open main page, which is basically the same as we have the name in here. But for the next step, we can call it a little different way. Say we have detailed steps saved, I don't know, at Jira, our spreadsheets, wherever you store your test cases. And here, verify search form is displayed on main page. You see, again, it makes the name of the method shorter, but this will be populated in our report and will make it much, much nicer. And here we will search for, and here's interesting thing. We will search for, and here we can pass our variable. For this, we open curly braces, we insert the number in the array. So again, arrays are null terminated. So if you have just one variable right here, it will be 0. If we will have few of them, I have some method that has 14 different variables taken inside, and so not all of them got to be populated in my naming. I just need, say, username or just some data, and so I can just call whatever name in the array it is. So in our case, it will be 0. So it will be search for, and it will take whatever value of the query there is. All right, so we can also run it again and see the way it changes our reports. So we have our two tests running here. This is the first one we are searching for a monitor. And we verify our dropdown, and here's our second one. This one verifies that we have our search field displayed on the main page. All right, so again, it is executed, build successful. We have two test results. Let's update our results right here. They are both passing. We knew that before, but look at the scenario, right? So this is the naming convention I came up with for right here, especially if you're using BDD approach. Here you may have your narrative. So it will talk what name of the user, what type of the user, was doing what, on where. If you'd like to, you can create extremely descriptive narrative right over here. And here we were looking for the monitor, right? And all right, yeah, let's open, I didn't edit here, I edited it here. So we open our main page and we verify that search form is displayed on main page. So here is the difference, you see? Right here, we have this populated in our report, but we didn't add anything for our step right here. And so it is taken just the name of the method. That's it. No extra information was added. So here is a difference on that. All right, I hope I didn't bore you to death so far. This is, I guess, the point where I'd like to start, to stop. And just to show some more for you guys, I have already prepared one more framework right here that has quite some more tests. I've added one test that is ignored right over here, so you'll see the difference on that. One of the tests may fail right here. And this is something that I'd like to mention about assert G. We can add S right here. So assertion, assert that something, some actual result, again, as we discussed it before, is equal to some other result right here. But in case it fails, which obviously may happen, we will have a narrative that will explain the problem. So we add this .s method, and here I created some narrative why it fails. So I would like just to run it. I am not going to go through all the steps. I will share this framework with you. So here I will have more tests than we created. Again, you will find the same tests right here. It is just for you to have more data and more visual information and some more in-depth understanding of the processes that are going on for Serenity. So let's run our framework. This time it will take a couple of minutes, I suppose. We will see. So, okay, here we are looking for the laptop this time. Some other verification happens here. So I've added the description of all the steps and all the tests. So you guys, once you download the project, you will see everything described in just plain English. It will be easy for you to understand what's going on. And I really hope there will be no problems for you to execute it. And if you remember, I mentioned that you will only need to provide your own Chrome driver for this project to run. So you can just set it in before method, just to remind you. Also, when you would like to download the project, in the README file, you will find extra information I also mentioned about the driver that you will need to provide, and some more details about technologies and some other information about the framework. And while we were talking, it seemed like we finished our building process. So build success. And we have 5 tests this time. Again, as I mentioned, I have added some more. And so this time we'll go just to a different project. Right here, Serenity presentation. This is the one that I'm going to share with you guys. And here we go the same route. It is target, site, Serenity. You can see it has much more data right here, as I mentioned before. And index.html is the file we need to open again. It's fairly simple, and especially if you're doing any even basic front-end development, you know that index.html, that is something that has all the data inside, like all the callouts for the data. So here are the results. Again, we have one ignored test. As you remember, I mentioned to you, we had one test that was ignored right here. We have one failed test. It took 1.5 minutes to run. We had an assertion error. You see again the difference between failed and a broken test. So failed, it is something that didn't meet the acceptance criteria. And broken is when something went wrong during the execution. So that's something that needs to be debugged. And some failed, it may be some bug on the production, whatever test system you have, you know, there can be a lot of things going on. And our most unstable feature is main page. Well, which is obvious, that's the one we have so far. So inside here, we can see that this one was ignored, so we don't care much. So just to verify, this is TST33. And we here have, again, same numbers. So this is the one that was ignored. Everything is working just perfectly. And this guy had failed. And again, legend in section 0, again, it is null terminated, is not correct. It expected screen size, but was price, right? So we had some acceptance criteria that was not met. And here is our narrative that failed. The one that I was showing to you right over here. Legend in section I, which was the number of the section null terminated, is not correct. So here how it works, guys. By now, I am going to share with you a GitHub link in the chat right here. So this is the link that you can download the project. You have the POM file inside, so all you need is just to build your Maven and import your project inside and provide again your Chrome driver, Firefox driver, whatever you are using. All right, and to finish it up, I have one more useful slide. So here are some of the extremely useful sources for you to use. This is 2 sites. This is, again, as I mentioned, the company that produces Serenity. This is the project website. And the second link I have right here. It is detailed documentation, and it is really detailed. Trust me, guys. I have never seen any project having as much plain understanding and explanation of how things are working in the project. It is really awesome. I'm going to share all of this data with you in just a moment. Right underneath, we have serenity.io. This is so-called Serenity Dojo, where you can find some trainings, some mentoring if you'd like to use it for your project. And the last I have is the website of the developer of the project. Again, you can find some mentoring and some extra information about the Serenity. So give me just one moment. I will share all of these links with you in the chat right here. So this is all you need so far, guys. If you'd like to start with the Serenity, I hope everything was clear. I hope you saw enough and I was persuasive enough, because Serenity is not that popular so far, which is surprising to me. I know that some teams are using, though definitely TestNG and some other libraries may have more followers, but I expect you guys to at least take a look at this really awesome project, and you saw how nice, how really good, nice, neat, and informative reports it may produce for you and for your project. And I hope you're gonna like it.
Yeah, we definitely like it. Thank you very much, Dmytro. I'm really impressed. The way
Thank
how
you.
you were explaining things, amazing, brilliant. After this session, I feel that it's not that easy, and I don't understand why people do not really like Serenity Test Reports. Everything looks so clear, so easy. I'm impressed. Thank you very much. And guys, we have approximately like 15 minutes left until our session, and I saw a really interesting question, because I have to ask you. So
Sure.
we have a question from Denise, who is asking you, what courses did you accomplish at Harvard? I think this is the best part everyone wants to know. So tell us, please.
Yeah, that is interesting. All right, so being a test lead is not that easy of a task, and it involves not only test automation. This is only a part from what I'm doing. I'm also responsible for pen testing and overall security of the project. Again, I'm not the guy who provides the entire security framework for us, but I am the one who got to verify that it is working and it is safe to a certain extent. And to do that, I had to look for some courses to, be able to provide some good information, some good feedback for our guys that are responsible for the security. And Harvard was providing, I would say, the best course on that. I'm not going to lie, it's costly, but again, on the other hand, you get really extensive learning experience. You learn a lot of practical information. You have some people to talk to, and you will, well, if you'd like to go for that, again, that was my experience. We even had top guys from banks. I guess it was the guy from Webster Bank, and we had a head of security team of Google, and it was really great experience to learn all that. So that's how I ended up having Harvard certification.
All right, sounds cool. And do we have any other questions, guys? It looks like not yet, because your explanation was so clear. You go step by step, and I don't know
Yeah,
what
I hope
really to
so.
ask, because you were very, very precise, which is super cool. I love these sessions when people go through all the details, not telling a lot of theoretical part.
Thank you. All right, I see the question. What's the name of that security course? Uh, that is a nice question. Just one moment. Allow me to take a certificate for that. So The full name of that is Cybersecurity Managing Risk in the Information Age. That's what it is. So if anyone would like to, you can look for that. I guess the information you can find right on the Harvard website. They have Harvard X as their online project. So I'm pretty sure that's where you've got to go if you are interested in that. Show it. All right. Yeah. So I guess something like that.
It looks so good. Congratulations. You're awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you for your questions. Is there anything else you'd like to know? So far, I guess I was trying to keep it as clear as possible.
And you were very successful at this. Definitely.
Thank you. Thank you.
And of course, thank you very much for sharing all the links and information. And guys, we will definitely send you the record of this session and you can follow up with Dmytro. Yeah. All right. If we do not have any questions, I would like to say big thank you, Dmytro. You broke my heart. Now I'm gonna love Serenity Test Reports. You know, I definitely will watch it again and try to follow you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that you came to us. Thank you. We love you. We are very happy.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you all of you guys who were with me today and followed all this. I really hope it was informative for you, and hopefully in future you'd like to use Serenity as well as I do.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, guys. So as I promised at the end of this session, everyone who stays until the end will get a checklist of 5 tools you need to learn to become automation engineer. I'm gonna send it to all of you. You will get it on your emails. And before we finish this session, I would like to remind you that QA Turbo School is having Java Selenium Automation Course, which we will have on March 8th. And I'm inviting all of you to join us to learn automation with us. And the best thing about this course that each student will be under personal mentoring, and all your homeworks and all your questions will be answered by our expert, who is Alexei Lavrenin. And you will learn this course in 3 months. And this is really cool chance for you to change your life and to start getting 100K. Okay, and to contact us, here is our website, is www.qaturbo.com. Yeah, you can text us, you can send us emails, and I will be more than happy to give you all the details. And also, I'm gonna, if you want, contact us on the qaturbo.com, and I'm gonna send you a very detailed plan, so you will know what you're gonna learn during each week of this course. Awesome, thanks. All right, I hope that it was, I hope you enjoyed the webinar. And again, thank you very much, Dmytro. Thank you guys for coming. I don't see any questions. It looks like everything was answered. Thank you very much, Christina, Tatiana. Yeah, I know, guys, the presentation was awesome. Dmytro is really great, professional, and also, yes, I remembered. I would like to let you know that we are going to have more webinars coming next week. We have really cool, oh my God, you're gonna love it, I promise you. We have one very cool girl. She's gonna share with you her experience, and okay, I'm gonna give you some spoils. It's gonna be how I became as that in 25. So she's 25 and she was already as that. Okay, sorry, I'm spoiling, but just let you know that we will text you, we will email you, and inviting you to the next webinar next week. And if you know any people who are interested in technologies, IT, QA, bring them to us, and we will like to have more people. Please organize a webinar on allele reporting. All right, I will keep it in mind, and I really appreciate that you gave us this information, so you are interested, and we will take it into consideration, definitely. That is all, I think so. I was so happy to have you here with me and Dmytro. Thank you very much. Thank you for being with us these 2 hours. I'm gonna send you the record as I promised. Also, I remember I'm gonna send you the checklist. And that's it, guys. Thank you very much for coming. Goodbye. Have a great night. And I see you very soon next week with our new session. All right. Bye-bye.